There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live 5 and Evil Bay Network, Rumble, X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe. Type in iNewsWire on Rumble. Or Roy Bleckert, that works on X. And some others on YouTube. Lots to discuss. The perv who attempted rape on a young girl here in Riverside was sentenced to 17 years. Hopefully we'll do that all in hard time and more. They should add more on. $3.1 million. A jury awards the victim of excessive force case from a Riverside County deputy who shot a man who stabbed him in the back. That case went to trial, and of course the jury said, found Riverside County and the Sheriff's Department liable and awarded the family $13.1 million in that case. Keeping the Diablo, the last 50-year-old nuclear plant, we got to keep open to keep electricity flowing in California. The stuff is nuts. We're absolutely 1,150% out of control. John Morlock has 10 ideas to fix California federal election update and more. But as we said, lead story of the day, and this was on iNewsWire, gas prices to soar. Valero just took $1 billion loss so it can get out of California by 2026. Of course, we get the environmental regulations, the high operating cost. This a-hole over here trying to bleed refineries, and still people will not come up with the extra 75 cents a gallon on top of, what is it, almost $1.25, $1.50 in gas taxes. Half of your money, in one way or the other, of a gallon of gas in California is going to the U.S. government. Means they are collecting as much. The government is collecting as much on a gallon of gas as everybody, from the wildcat driller who drills and pumps it out of the ground, to the pipeline or the trucker that takes the raw oil in, or to that or imported oil that's coming over on highly polluting ships, to the refineries who turn it into gas or diesel fuel or jet airplane fuel, to the distribution plant that it goes from there, either pipeline or truck, then from a tank farm like over in Colton, to the distribution to the gas station who finally gives you that. All those guys are only making, let's say, $5 a gallon. They're only making $2.50, the whole deal. The government, California mostly, but the feds and your locals get a piece, are making the other half for doing absolutely nothing but making things unaffordable to you. The stupidity needs to stop. We had this up on iNewsWire. The gas apocalypse, Newsom's energy refinery crackdown sets the stage for record-breaking pain at the pump. Of course, Phillips 66 is pulling out too. That's probably in 20, maybe 30% of our total capacity. Oil companies blame a toxic mix of crushing environmental regulations, special California-only fuel blends, massive fines, and endless red tape, all pushed by Sacramento's climate crusade. This is why you should have been down at the CARB hearing, and you should be at the County Board of Supervisors. Well, Today might have been as less, well, maybe January. Victor Manuel Perez, chair of the Riverside County Board of Supervisors. He's also on the California Air Resources Board. In November of last year, they voted to jack your gas prices up higher. Victor voted for it. Why people are not down there roasting his hind end, and everybody else that's on top of this. We went through the stuff. James Rector, UC Berkeley professor, and a self-proclaimed environmentalist left-wing loon. Well, he probably wouldn't typify himself that. But he's an eco-freak. And Michael Mischke, USC professor, said we're racing to an energy crisis. And they pointed the danger of not drilling oil in California. Half of the greenhouse gases are because we're not, our methane gas, which creates this whole greenhouse gas is going to kill us all. Half of it is because we're not drilling oil, specifically in Los Angeles, Southern California, or off the coast, and that stuff leaks up through the methane gas leaks up through the earthquake faults and into the atmosphere. Much more than all the cars and diesel trucks and everything else. We're all supposed to be dying of diesel smoke. So we are killing ourselves in two ways. One, we get the methane gas. Now, especially since the California blend is only produced in India, other than California, in India and Japan and China, who knows how much we're going to have to pay for a gallon of gas in the summertime. Nobody else can do it. Even if they build that pipeline from Louisiana to here, it's going to stop in the summertime, at least at Arizona. Mike Mischke said California runs on oil. Mischke has argued, when you kill local drilling and refining, you don't eliminate demand, you just jack up prices and import dirtier foreign oil. Do you think India or China gives a flippin' rip about how much pollution's in the air? And you don't think that's you're going to breathe that? They're shutting down pipelines now, even up in Central California, because they're not pumping enough oil through it to justify the cost. One in the industry said, it's ideological insanity. You shut down refineries, block drilling, then act shocked when gas hits record highs. Second thing, if you're, all you eco-freaks, tree-hugging Sierra Club loons, you are letting methane gas roll into the air because we're not pumping the oil out of the ground. Here in Southern California and off the shore, we are killing ourselves according to you. This stuff is just... We're leading the... average is less than $4.50 a gallon. We're paying, or less than $3 a gallon. We're paying over $4.50. And that's only because Trump is overall lowering the price of the oil with drill, baby drill, and other deregulations. But that's going to stop. When these oil refineries close, we are going to be effed like we've never been effed before in California. Will we ever learn? This chart says it all. Lock them up. This is a chart from El Salvador, which was gang laden, just immensely crime-ridden, murder rates going crazy, drugs. Where Kelly got in there, cracked heads, moved the incarceration rate up, started cracking down on the gangs and the criminals and everything else. As the incarceration rate goes up, the blue line, the red line, the crime plummets. Plummets. So all you tutti-frutti, emotional charged, people who just boo, we can't lock them up. Oh, we're just being mean. Bunch of evil white hillbillies, racist, ya. You're denying reality. And you're killing us. And you're making our communities, our families, our schools unsafe. This proves it. It's proven time and again. You get the criminals locked up. You do, voila, you don't have any crime. This is why you have a 5-year process and you vet people coming into your country because you don't want them, as Trump said, they're emptying the prisons and saying, hey, get the hell out of here, go to America. We are flipping beyond insane. And we only have ourselves to blame. Because we're the ones that pay the price. Whether it's unchecked, illegal immigration, whether it's just letting criminals go, not prosecuting. It's thoroughly crazy. Insane policy that we are subjecting ourselves each day. And we say this a lot. We just need to frickin' stop. We need to stop the stupid. Every day, at every hour of every time. Because we can't handle this much longer. Look, Bukele cleaned this up in El Salvador in a couple years. It doesn't take long. It just takes the will to do it. And this is why the danger of men not being men. Not putting their foot down and saying, you know what, we're not putting up with the stupid ish. For any time, at any reason, it just ain't happening. That's what Bukele did in El Salvador, and the crime goes away. That's what we're not doing. That's why they can rip us off for $8 billion frickin' dollars. With the Somali deal going on at Tampon Timmy, the retard, Walls', Minnesota. It's staggeringly immense, stupidity that we keep on this path. Lock them up as it is, crime rates go down, get the criminals off. This is why we must reform illegal immigration. Harmeet Dillon with a update on voting in our federal elections. Here we go.
Just in the data that we've seen, you say thousands of, I guess, illegally registered aliens in the country that are registered to vote.
That's right.
Is that accurate? I mean, how many do you think it'll be when you get all 50 states in? How many illegal immigrants are voting in this country?
Well, I mean, it could be legal or illegal, but it's illegal for any alien to vote in a federal election.
Let's stop right there. It is illegal for any alien to be voting in our elections. Period. End of story. So why in the hell? Why in the hell are we doing this?
That's the situation. Yes. And so green card holders can't vote, visa holders can't vote. And so I think it could be a six-figure number when you spread out over the whole country. It could be even higher than that. And when you think about the margin in the 2020 election and some other elections nationally, a few hundred votes here or there could absolutely turn the outcome of a national election. And a single vote can turn the outcome of a congressional race or a Senate race or something like that. And so we really have to take this seriously. And the left's response to this effort is, oh, there's not a lot of fraud. You know, they're exaggerating this. Right. There doesn't have to be a lot of fraud or any fraud for it to be a problem. It's a problem if someone goes and votes because they've been.
And Harmeet is exactly right. You only have to have a few key precincts to move an election. And as we've heard, the experts, the ones on the inside, the whistleblowers have been doing it, saying we've been fooling you all along. You've been looking in the Republican areas thinking that. No, we're manipulating the Democrat areas where you're not looking. This is how they get away with this stuff.
Got about 1 minute, Roy.
Up the kazoo. And far too long, we've been lax in not playing the game correctly. They have been our enemy of we the people have been playing these politics by guerrilla warfare. Far too many far too many on the right side have been playing by Marcus Queensberry rules, and we know who wins.
30 seconds.
And we will not get it. We'll get into what Sean said when we join the Mighty Met KMT. We get into Diablo and the energy and more, and why the gas prices and energy and electricity and everything else is going out of control in California. And maybe we'll get to Morlock's 10 reasons to fix, or ways to fix California.
Here we go, 10 seconds.
For those who support America, PatriotSwitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live, 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the format today and band. Join your vast video audience in the Evil Being Network, Rumble, X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire or Roy Blecker. You'll find my nice, smiling, shining face. Lots of stuff. We cared more on why the gas prices are going haywire. Illegals, undocumented, not legal, anybody who's not a citizen is not able to vote in our elections. That comes from Assistant U.S. Attorney Harmeet Dillon. who just reiterated that on Newsmax. Lock them up. Bukele down there in El Salvador locks up the criminals. Crime goes down. Who would have ever thought that could possibly ever happen? There's a chart. You can happen instantly almost. You go from a war-torn, cartel-run, criminals running everything to a safe society in a couple of years. We got these tree huggers that are killing us, not letting us drill for oil, pumping methane gas into the air, and they say that's greenhouse gas. They say you're doing no. Well, indirectly from our stupid elected officials, like the dim bulb. Gavin Newsom, as our lead story is on IA Newswire today, with the refineries closing, pipelines shutting down because they're not moving enough oil because we're not drilling enough to move it to keep them running. This brings us to our next story. We've only had 2 nuclear power plants in California, both built in the early 70s. San Onofre, which they finally got shut down a few years ago. That's why your electricity prices are soaring in SoCal. And Diablo, which is up the coast. And they was slated to, the thing is 50 years old. It should be shut down because we should have replaced it. We should have nuclear power plants, and we should start tomorrow. From San Diego to Eureka. We should have one every frickin' half a mile. Diablo, they just passed a deal to keep it open another 20 years. Which is probably not necessarily great because at 70 years old, the thing's really going to be subject to some sort of malfunction. Remember the one in Japan was 30, 40 years old, was going to be closed down a month, and they had the big explosion, yada, yada, yada. But the environmental frickin' idiots, like with the gas, like they're killing us by not drilling here in Southern California and Central California, but mainly Southern California and off the coast. The methane gas that's trapped under there that's making the oil. So when methane gas hits the carbon, makes oil. There's an infinite readjusting supply of oil. All that peak oil, and there's only so much oil in the ground. When we pump it out, we're all gonna die. Hogwash. Stick that right up where the sun don't shine, and all the lying sacks of crap that said this. I grew up listening to this 50, 60 frickin' years ago. It's like with that, this is how they pull out the COVID con. They continue to, as P used to say, suck your brains out and put mush back in there so you will obey. We get to the Diablo plant. They were supposed to, the environment, we're going to die. Nuclear power, electrical generation is the cleanest, safest, environmentally friendly, 24/7, 365 generation of electricity and cheapest than we have ever known. And we don't have any technology yet that can replace it at anywhere close to meeting any one of those parameters. Except for natural gas or coal-fired plants. So that's your choice. Here's the KCRA3 report. We go.
Power thousands of California homes. As it's done for decades, the Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant is a big part of California's energy grid.
We heat up water, which boils into steam, goes through a turbine. Turbine turns, makes electricity. That's what generates electricity. Turns a generator, makes electricity.
In a simulator next to the two reactors, Brian Sawyer and his team go through every single scenario that could cause the plant to fail.
A bunch of lights are going to go out. That's basically the grid going away.
No stone can be left unturned because for the next 5 years, Diablo Canyon is staying open. Situated on the edge of California's picturesque central coastline, some marvel at this feat of engineering, while others scorn its existence.
We don't need unsafe energy.
Diablo Canyon now.
We don't need unsafe energy. Tell the church lady, environmental wacko, shut the hell up.
It was the backbone of the California clean, reliable electrical system.
Activists have fought for decades to close the plant, claiming it's harmful to the environment.
If they tried to get a license to build that plant right now, do you think there would be a chance in the world of them getting it? No.
And that's the problem, you ding-dong. We got idiots like this. I won't say it. Who are blocking your quality, who are ruining your quality of life every single day.
You know, that's crazy. You couldn't build a house out there.
Linda Seeley is with Mothers for Peace. Climate groups like hers almost got their wish. Diablo Canyon was originally set to close this year, but in 2022, Governor Gavin Newsom pushed for the plant to remain open. He claimed the plant was necessary to keep the power grid stable as wildfires and extreme heat ravage the state.
We will stack Diablo, and as we move all of these renewables, we will stress test them in the extremes. And we weren't turned.
We will stress test them into the... Look at the hand waving. He's trying to distract you from the truth. He's absolutely 1,000% trying to cover up. He tried to get San Diablo closed down till they told him, the tech guys up there in Silicon, the tech gurus saying, we need power. If this AI stuff's going to work, we're going to get rid of electric cars or trucks just to power AI. We're going to have gazillions of megawatts more power than we've ever thought we could use before. And that isn't even, again, that's not even factoring in electric cars.
As we move all of these renewables, we will stress test them in the extremes. And we won't turn Diablo off until we know that we are out on the other side of that extreme.
Then we are never turning Diablo off. In fact, we should be building Diablo times 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That is the future. If this AI or whatever they're talking about, or even electric cars or trucks or whatever they think is going to work, this is what you have to have.
Critics say Newsom is trying to appease donors ahead of a possible run for president. A San Francisco Chronicle investigation dug into exactly what led to his decision.
It has everything to do with politics. That's the key. And for some reason, Gavin Newsom wants to keep it open.
That this broad doesn't know her hat from the hole in the backside of her rear end. Everybody told him, you close down Diablo, California's darn near going to come to a grinding frickin' halt. A grinding halt. We don't have an electricity. Frickin' Diablo. is only running at 25% frickin' capacity. And it's still providing 10% of the power of the state of California. If it was running at full, well, let's say if it was running at 75% capacity, it'd be doing 30% of the power. If San Onofre was still open, there you got 60%. Just 2 nuclear, old tech, well, they've remodernized them, old nuclear power plants. 2 could have survived, running at 75, not running them full tilt, 75% capacity, 60% of the electricity. We would be the cheapest electricity. Well, not in California because we'd tax it to death. The government would want or tack on taxes as much as they were charging you for the electricity. But it's because of witches like this that your life is suffering. And because you voted for people like Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi and Corey Jackson. And the list goes freaking on, that we are in this situation.
Newsom's office has denied those claims. The current plan extends the plant's life to 2030, and PG&E will receive at least $100 million a year to keep it running. The American Nuclear Society.
So because they screwed them around, PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, was able to hijack $100 million out of all of our pockets because of dumbass politicians and stupid people like that witch and eco-freaks are in there using fear tactics to ruin your life.
He claims these plants are key for meeting carbon neutral goals while having a reliable power source.
If you look at the numbers out there, California gets 10% of its electricity from Diablo Canyon.
A study done by MIT and Stanford in 2021 showed keeping the plant open would cut carbon emissions by 10%. According to the Chronicle's investigation, that study led venture capitalists and pro-nuclear lobbyists pushing lawmakers to pass that bill.
Clean energy, cutting the carbon emissions that are killing us all, and yada, yada, yada. And, it's because of polish. No. California's economy would be wrecked if Diablo went down. And it's because it's only running at 25% capacity most of the time. In the summertime, when we got the heat on, they can turn the ratchet up on that thing. And so we don't have rolling blackouts. That's what they said. You eliminate, that's what they told him. If you eliminate Diablo, summertime blackouts are going to be all over the state. Period, full stop. As Mr. Fancy Pants Newsom likes to say all the time.
But climate groups argue the plant isn't needed and energy gaps could be closed with renewable sources.
During a sunny day like today, we have more energy than the grid can hold, and so they shut down the solar.
One way or another, Diablo.
How do you shut the solar down, lady? The amount of damage that would cause all across the board to people that are doing... These people have no idea what they're talking about. You can tell our education system has been failing. And the straight up lies and fear have been working 111%. Because that is the only way stupidity like that broad spewing out can exist.
Diablo Canyon continues to make history as California's only remaining nuclear power plant.
With all this talk about data centers and electrification of things and shutting down coal plants and shutting down gas plants and all that, where's this energy going to come from?
Yes. There is no solar wet dream lady or eco-freaks or stupid people that are buying this on the emotional tags they do. That's what they told Newsom and the legislator from the Silicon Valley to the power providers and everybody else in business.
Diablo Canyon is going to be running for 5 years. I think it's a great start.
A start for a possible new future for California's energy. Ryan Curry.
Yes. As I've said, we should have, as the plan was, started in the 60s under Pat Brown, Democrat. That we were going to have nuclear generating electric power plants from San Diego to Eureka. But the stupids prevailed. Marjorie Taylor Greene was on with Bill Maher. A lot of what she said wasn't wrong.
That everything you just talked about has affected them very deeply. People are barely getting by month to month. They're maxing out their credit cards just to pay their rent, and it's extremely sad. I tell you what, I'm a big fan of President Trump. I really am. I make no apologies for it. Here's the issue. Under the Biden administration in 2022, we saw inflation go to 9%, and we haven't seen any of these prices really come back down, although inflation is holding right now at 2.5%. So I do give the president a lot of credit for that.
Well, some of that was COVID, was it not?
Well, it was all the spending that Congress.
Yeah.
There it is. We averaged before COVID, 2014 to 2019. About $4.1 billion was the federal budget. It's been 6.4, over 50% from 20 to 25 the next 5 years. This is the COVID con. They jacked federal spending up 50% and have been holding it that. And once you start it, you cannot stop it. MTG is precisely right. They should cut $1 trillion frickin' dollars out of the next federal budget. 1,000%.
Pumped into the economy, COVID bailouts, but 100,000 small businesses were shuttered. I mean, I'm very much against the shutdowns. I was against them even when the president said 2 weeks to slow the spread.
I'm with you on that one, sister.
It's bad stuff.
However, not a fan of COVID policy.
Right. So
even Bill Maher agrees. The COVID con was one of the worst things we've sprung, not only in America, the world.
So I tell you, I can't say it loud enough. My angst is with my colleagues. And my colleagues, I believe it's Congress that has failed over and over and over again, to the point where my own children's generation, my kids are in their 20s, that generation is actually looking towards the future with no hope. They don't think they'll ever be able to buy a house. They don't want to have children because they don't know how they can afford it.
Precisely right. I was talking to a young lady the other day, probably in her 20s, said exactly the same thing. I will never be able to afford a house. I don't think I can afford to have kids. It's lunacy. And I told her, I said, I say it all the time. You know, your generations is not going to have the same opportunity mine did. We never thought like that. Because that wasn't the reality. That's the reality today. So Marjorie Taylor Greene was exactly, I mean, everybody's jumping on her because of the whole Trump thing and this and that. And she says, I still like Trump. Even as much as Trump's roasted her. Still support him. It's really, really, really some interesting times. But MTG was right. And again, more younger people are agreeing. People on the left and right that thought they never would come together are finally starting to see. We've been sold a bill of goods by a lot of people. And I think that's what MGT and Bill Maher are pointing out, or coming to a common conclusion. And I think in a lot of cases, very, very succinct, correct. And we really, really, really need to look at how we're going to untangle this web of destruction. Because if we don't, as they say, it will be the unwinding of civilization, as they say, as we have known it. This is a tragic story. Depraved therapist gets 17 years in hell for attempted rape of a minor. A great job from the Riverside County Prosecutor's Office. This guy, Mitchell Takada, let me get that right, 22, just 22 years old, was a therapist, was convicted of attempted rape and other sexual crimes on a minor girl who was mentally disabled and mute. I mean, they did at least, they sentenced, the judge was cool. I mean, at least we're fine. Maybe we're getting some good, hopefully we're getting some good judges in there. Sentence him to the maximum possible penalties, can't get out. This is California, so we know it's possible. Man, some of the rotten people. And this is why you've got to have incarceration for criminals. It's mandatory. Another one, jury awards $13.1 million in excessive force case. Riverside County held liable in the death of Jeffrey Monroy. He stabbed a deputy who then shot him in the back several times. So they found that the deputy was, or the deputy sheriff's department was 70% responsible. Jeffrey Monroy was 30% responsible, but they awarded him the family $13.1 million in excessive force deal. Man, sometimes you got to wonder what's really going on. I really hope I hope reality will really start hitting people in the face. And maybe it'll wake people up or motivate them to just start looking at things. Don't take their word for it. Don't take my word for it. Actually go do some actual research yourself and educate yourself on the subject. And test them. Test me. That's how That's how we come to the best decisions throughout recorded history. That'll do it for today. As we usually say, we'll be mandatory. We'll be back here in 23 hours wide for the best star show in the whole wide world. Off to the city zoo. Till then, see ya.
The proceeding was a...
All right, Roy. Well, have fun at the city.
You got it.
Try not to tear into them too hard. I mean,
I don't know. I warmed up pretty good on today's show.
all right. Well, take care, and I'll talk to you Friday.
You got it.
Bye.